Hi Avery, we're going to take a look at your midterm portfolio. Love seeing you do other things other than what's in class. We start off with the ever-changing line project. The idea is to change that mark as you go down that page. Not only direction, but speed, how you hold that tool, how you move that tool, how you change the pressure on there. A lot of your marks seem to always move this direction. So we kind of have the same direction on a lot of these marks. We do have some pressure changes, but what other directions can you move? How else can you hold that tool? Here we start seeing it go on its side a little bit. This is good. We get a little more adventurous maybe over here. Here we start getting into some implied line. You start increasing your speed a little bit happening here. So it looks like you're progressing with that. But really think about how do you, and that's just not, how is the line either this way or this way, but what else can that line do? How else can you hold that tool to sort of help you push and pull and drag a different type of mark out of there? I see it progressing as we go through here, so that's good. Then the directed mark making is about taking these 6 very different words and giving them a different type of mark based on that definition. And repeating that mark. And since the words are very different, the drawing should be very different. And we get some difference happening there between these 3. And then when we get here, notice how these 2 are real similar in how their approach. Most characteristics of the marks are kind of similar. Most of the others are pretty different, so that's good. Keep working on expanding your vocabulary of the types of marks you make. Variety adds interest to drawings. Then we move on to our leaf contours of in-class and out-of-class work. So these are pure exercises meant to really force us to focus on the process of drawing and the process and quality of our concentration. This is a nice studied edge on the outside. On the inside, it looks like you were, going a little fast on there. Even with that, notice how the line variation between dark and light give a sense of space to this drawing and even this one. Oh, look at this nice, pressure change happening here. That really gives a sense of rhythm to that drawing. You see it happening here too. We avoid these retracing things because that focuses on the outcome, not the process. So these are really about an exercise in that. And we can see in the blind contour of just how difficult it is to go from light dark to a dark mark. Again, you want to avoid these retracing areas, just focus on the process. That's about these as pure exercise. And we've got some more here. You're starting to get a little more comfortable with this, it looks like, even in the blind ones. Remember, we got to let go of what it's going to look like and just focus on what we can control in that process. In the gesture drawings, good to see you put the picture plane right on that page to help us understand that composition. You've got some good energy in here, but I'm going to ask you to amp that energy up so we aren't always separating off our objects from things. Notice how your objects don't have bottoms to them. They should, I'm assuming these are some sort of cylindrical things. Let's find out where they end on there. Move so quickly that you have to move between objects and you can't just follow the contours. We already did contour drawing. This is not about making contours. Gesture drawing is a completely different way of thinking. Also think about your compositions. most of these are groups of objects all clumped together. How could we create some spaces in between them? Think about how I set up still lives in the classroom. There's clumps of objects and there's spaces in between some of those objects. Here we start getting a little more gestural, where we're not thinking so much about those contours of things. We move into the gestures of people. You've got the right idea with the energy here. I'm going to ask you to, we have lots of little short marks. And I can see your hand moving across here, but stay in contact longer. See how these marks are very short and they stop. Let those marks just move right on through that figure. Don't worry about it hitting a contour. Move so fast you can't even keep it within the figure. We're starting to get a little more through there, but just let your eyes and your hand move right through that figure as you're making those things. You've got some good poses here to give you some energy in these. And also, you know, these should be 30 seconds to a minute. I think I said no more than 2 minutes. You should be able to get a lot more information on a page in that amount of time. And then we've got our still life studies. These would benefit with that same picture plane idea. So these should be longer than gesture drawings. These are opportunities for you to use those measuring tools, verticals and horizontals, measuring proportions, and clock angles. Having something that is rectilinear would be helpful to measure some clock angles. We have pretty much all cylindrical things in here. But I would ask you, what's the difference between these gestures and these? They look like they took about the same time. These should take much longer as you try to use those tools. Don't be afraid to put those verticals and horizontals right on your page. There should be some evidence of change as you do that. You know, just like we saw in your long form contour drawing, but I don't see much evidence of changing in these. These look like gesture drawings. As we move over to your in-class gesture drawings, you show good energy in these, that good willingness to make those marks. You know, just as I said before, these were all a minute, and you should be able to get a lot more information on that page in a minute than this. So that should give you some kind of idea of the type of energy you should attack these things with. So you've got the right idea. I can see you making a lot of good progress, Avery. Just keep working at it. Keep asking those good questions. And if you have any, don't hesitate to ask.